I really did feel the need to come on for this. There is definitely a reason why I'm streaming today. And it's not the happiest. So just as like an additive precaution, I guess for those of you who struggle with things like violence, death, um, this might not be the best stream. Um, as we are going to be covering something really serious that happened last weekend. We are going to be covering the death of Brianna Jai, a very strong and amazing trans woman who in her life liked to be there for others, but her life was taken on Saturday last weekend. Um, and we're going to be talking about it because it is very important that we try our best to spread awareness. Now I know I'm not like the best person to do so, but I feel like it is important. When it comes down to it, it's important, and as such for this stream, I want everyone to know that please feel free to criticize me. Criticize me, tell me what I'm doing wrong if I do something wrong. Um, I'm gonna try and keep my best respect for this, and also chat. I would also really appreciate it if you did too, because yeah, this is very very sad. I'm going to try and keep it relatively short because I don't want to be talking about death for too long, but it is nonetheless important. And so with that, I guess I would like to invite you all to follow me for a second, and let's cover this. So this is Brianna Jai, I want to say 16-year-old, in oh goodness, um, a girl, 16-year-old girl from Birchwood, in Cheshire, England, um, and on the and on I'm sorry, I'm personally I'm getting a little flustered by this because it's just overwhelming. But on the 11th, she was her life was taken from her. We'll be looking at some articles and just getting a general consensus of what happened. Not much is known. She was found there, and from that there were two people who were arrested, um, and they're going to trial right now. Um, but there's a lot of ramifications to this. Let me just give you some background. So I found that like this. I know Wikipedia is not the best source of really anything, but after like reading it and going over it, I thought it was pretty spot on. Um, so going into her background, she was a year 11 pupil at Birchwood Community High School. Her parents described her as a larger than life character who would have a lasting impression on all that met her. Um, According to her friends, Jai would often help younger trans girls, safely and legally access hormone replacement therapy. And apparently had also been facing an awful lot of discrimination and bullying in her school. So now on to the more, I guess, pressing thing. I kind of already said it, but on the afternoon of the 11th of February, she was found with multiple wounds, stab wounds, on a path in, I don't really know how to pronounce it. I'm going to say Colchith Linear Park, by members of the public. The emergency services were called at 3:13, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. There is an order to determine what her cause of death was, and overall this whole situation is extremely violent and brutal and very, very sad. The aftermath saw Jay's family successfully raise $70,000 in 3 days after a GoFundMe page was set up. And in response to all of this, there have been people setting up vigils and going to these gatherings to honor and support this poor family and who Brianna Jai was really. And it's quite amazing. From what I've been reading, hundreds and thousands of people have been getting together for this. Here are some images from a BBC News article. It's quite amazing to me, just how many people have come to honor. To many people, a complete stranger, and that's really awesome to me. Anyway, now, aside from some of the other things, there's definitely some things that need to be talked about in light of this event, and that it being the first thing is this. I mean, it's not, the police have not confirmed or denied that it is, but it is almost pretty blatantly that this might be a hate crime. Don't quote me on that. Don't jump to conclusions, but after knowing that Brianna has faced bullying in her school for so long, and this murder was allegedly acted by two schoolers as well, it does seem that this could be a hate crime, and it is extremely, extremely sad, very sad and terrifying. And yeah, well, we're gonna get more into that later. I just thought I'd mention that. Another thing that is also extremely pressing, to me at least, is that the Gender Recognition Act of 2004 prevents minors from acquiring a gender recognition certificate, which is essentially the thing that allows them to people to legally change their name and pronouns. And so her death certificate is likely going to misgender her even after her passing, and there's not much that with the current legal system, not much that can be done about it, unfortunately. And it's really, really horrible. I can't even imagine like just how viscerally screwy that is, I guess. Or but luckily there have been Twitter campaigns called on the government to issue a gender recognition certificate to Jai, so she can, pass on being recognized for who she is and not who she may have been. and I think that's good. But you know, kind of this kind of demonstrates the severe amount of prejudice towards trans people that even in death they often won't be recognized as people, you know, or recognize at least who their identities are, and it hurts. I'm sure for the family it is extremely saddening. And I, God, it's so hard to say anything because I'm just so flustered right now with how horrible this is. That even somebody in death can't be recognized for who they are just because of a stupid act by transphobic government officials. So that on the background, that's a lot of what has happened. I'm not gonna go into who was accused. It's a bit too early to know, and I might be covering this and more later, when we get more information. But so far, it doesn't seem appropriate of me to talk about that. I think we should just keep it to recognizing Brianna for who she was. And yeah, so as part of the reactions, there have been responses from all different kinds of people across the internet, across her local area, and the high school. It is so shocking, and from what this Wikipedia article says, one of her friends, criticized the police and said, "Let's be frank, she was bullied because of her sexuality. Of course, this is a hate crime." There, and in addition to all of this horrible death certificate stuff, the media, you know, right-wing media, politics, and stuff like that have been horribly misgendering her and not using her preferred name, just totally taking a stab at someone who just died, and it's really horrible. It really, really is. And for example, I believe the New York Times published an article on Guy, or the Times, I guess, not New York Times, the Times. Their original story on it, dead named her and didn't use the word girl, which unfortunately they later got so much criticism that they went back and replaced it all. But it really does show that, like, we're not wholly recognized by people, by bigoted people. The overwhelming population of, well, everybody are not very friendly towards us, nor do they wish to recognize us the way that we feel, you know, who we are. They don't choose to recognize us for who we are. And it just, to me, it shows how horrible that is, because even somebody's death, a much more a child's death, a minor, is being taken advantage of in such a predatory and derogatory way. And it disgusts me. It really does. It really disgusts me. Now on, let's see, is there, now that I've kind of given you a general look at what it is, I want to kind of focus on the positive a little bit. There have been numerous places holding moments of silence for Jai, and offering vigils and organizing vigils and protesting the people who choose to be mean even beyond her death. Um, there, like I said, all of these wonderful people have been taking to the streets to honor her, and that it honestly, it really makes me sad because this is all because um all because of the stupid system that we have and how marginalized we are as trans people. Now, going to that, I want to have like real talk with everybody. Um, you know, my thoughts and opinions on this. Of course, I'm from America. I didn't know Jai, nor did I watch her TikToks, but it nevertheless is still very important to me, and I feel so sorry for the family, for her family. She never got to grow up. She never got to. Jai never got to experience life. I mean, in really any capacity, except for being the schoolgirl, the wonderful schoolgirl that she was, and apparently very passionate about being there for others and their transitions too. And it is just so insanely sad to me. I don't have a whole lot of words right now. I wish I could be more verbose in how I'm speaking, but this is really unscripted and I'm just kind of speaking from my heart. Another thing I feel about this is I feel very frustrated with the way society is currently structured right now, because Brianna, in all rights and accounts, should deserves a proper death and burial and the recognition of her identity in that. I really do hope that they give her a certificate to be able to change that, but unfortunately I don't know, and I don't know if that's going to happen, and that just is so, it makes me so angry, and must be horrible for the family, and even just in her passing, her identity is just being stripped from her. It's like from her passing, it's almost just an allegory for how the government strips people of their rights and freedoms. It's very sad and horrible, and which is why we need to come together and talk about it and prove to these people that we are not numbers, we are not insignificant. We are here, we are now, and they better get with the program and start respecting us and not dehumanizing, especially 16-year-old girls who have been brutally killed in a park on a Saturday during the day. 16. How, sorry for my language, but how fucked up is that? Just seriously, how fucked up is that? Another thing I have to point out is this is not the first time that this has happened. I once heard, I don't quote me on this, but I once heard that, you are more likely to die as a transgender black woman than you were to die in the Civil War. Which, for those of you who are Americans, that you should know that that's one of the bloodiest wars in American history. And for the amount of times that trans people have been killed, being compared to the Civil War, that's saying something. That happens a lot. And I'm also going to point out the fact that there are lots of young transgender women, black women, who get overshadowed just because they're black. The media doesn't cover it. And it's horrible. That it's a very... Our whole system is so prejudiced right now, and will probably be for a long time. But that is why it is extremely important for us to get together and talk about it and spread awareness, and why I feel so compelled to make this video, or to make this, to stream this right now, because even though on my small platform, I feel like not enough people know it, and they really need to. It's not something, this really shouldn't be treated as something you can just surpass or pass on, like, oh, just some random death. No, this is really bad. And it's scary. You know, here's going on to the next thing I think about this situation. I am afraid. I am personally afraid. I'm 18. I'm a transgender woman who lives in quite a non-accepting town. I don't go outside often because, you know, especially now, because the thought of, you know, in broad daylight just getting stabbed to death is really scary. And now that that's like a visceral reality, like that actually happened to somebody who's even younger than me, who honestly is just so beautiful and just had such life. That happened to somebody. That happened to her. And it's scary. It truly is. And sometimes I do feel scared for my safety. I feel scared for the safety of others. And this is kind of where the real talk begins to come in. Now, the first thing I have to say in all of this is make sure that you're safe, okay, everybody watching. You can't fix or help everything, but please try your absolute best to, especially if you're trans, like me, a transgender woman like me right now, do your best to be safe. Be with people you know, who you trust, who you love. And try to keep yourself in a place where not only are you mentally safe, but also physically safe. And, you know, I if you wanted, I can offer ways to do that. It's sad that we have to do that, you know, but it is very important. And until we get the flaws of our society taken care of, it's not going to go away. But luckily we're in the process, and if we start advocating enough, it'll get there. It will. I know it will. So stay safe, friends, family, my Neko zombie squad, or to all of you who are watching, please stay safe. The other thing is spread awareness. Please, I cannot stress this enough. Share the articles. I don't know, maybe even share this video. Get it out. Get the message out to people, to anybody. It'll ultimately be their choice to listen to it or not, but at least people will know. In the case of Brianna Jai, like, it is getting covered, but I feel like not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. And it really does need to get covered. So spread awareness. Keep on your guard. and make sure to do it nice and respectfully, and learn from it. The next thing is, there are ways that we can fight for our rights. Small things, big things. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a stupid 18-year-old sitting at a desk, behind a mask of an avatar right now, but you can do things to do well, or to do well in advocating for others, and for getting trans people, and everybody, honestly. We need to advocate for everybody, but getting everybody on an equal playing field, and prevent prejudice from running rampant enough to where there are mass shootings, stabs in parks, the R word, essay, murder. We can help prevent those things, and a part of that is, well, spreading awareness, of course, but then also making institutional change. We need to start advocating for kicking it where it really hurts, or getting things done at the top level, that. But then there's also forms of institutional change through lobbying, advocating, voting, doing your absolute best to get like-minded people into your government office to promote positive change for struggling communities and minorities. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I want to explore that with everybody. One of the things that I think is apropos is writing letters to people in power. It might not be read, but it's something if you don't have the means like I do, really. Going to protests. You want to know what a large, even though these vigils that are being held for Jai are, to honor her, I feel like it's also a recognition. It's also recognizing the civil unrest and differences that people experience, and how much trans people are on the bottom of it, because nobody cares enough to even gender Jai correctly in writing articles, purely just to promote their own horrid reactionary words, their opinions. They're trying to turn a really sad event into propaganda. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen, please. As much as I do want to respect Brianna Jai, I also want to convey that I feel like a lot of this is because of the prejudice towards trans people that continues to be perpetuated by people like J.K. Rowling and others in power who implement horrid things like the Gender Recognition Act, or whatever it was. The Gender Recognition Act of 2004. It is so vile to me. So vile. And, together as a community, as people, we can come together, put our heads together, and implement that change. I'm going to be on my Discord just sharing links and things like that to ways you can do this. Like, one of the things that I would like to do, if it's still up, is sponsor this GoFundMe that Brianna Jai's family put up. Here's her GoFundMe. If you want to support this family, I would highly encourage you to go do that. I think after this stream I will as well. And I mean, they have raised so much. Look, it's even increased from the 70,000 that was in the thing. It is 108,000 pounds. That's insane. That's amazing, and I'm so happy for them. Here's what it says. We would like to help the Guy family, or Jai family, who has had their beautiful daughter cruelly taken from the most shocking and heartbreaking way. There's a news article that leads to the information if you want to look at it. Brianna was an outgoing, confident girl. She brought a lot of laughter to those who knew her. She was looking forward to taking her exams this year and beginning her journey into the adult world. We have set up this page to help the family at this truly devastating time. We need your support to help them with funeral costs. We want to make this pink and colorful to match her personality, and ask if you can spare anything, no matter how small, to try and relieve their stress and allow them to grieve their beautiful daughter. I don't think a lot of people understand this, but there's a lot of money that goes on in death, and it is so much a help to ease someone's pain through helping them get through the financial stuff. My grandfather recently passed away, and we've been my grandmother has been having to deal with all of this stuff, and it's so sad because it's just taking away from the time that she could have to grieve, but anyway, here are just some comments from kind people who decided to donate. I never knew Brianna before this tragedy. If it weren't for her murder, I'd likely never know her existence. However, as a young trans man myself, I understand the pain she went through for the years leading up to that day. She was part of my community, and learning of her death shook me. She deserved to live a long, full life. It pains me knowing that this beautiful girl was taken away by the selfishness of others. It's truly what it is. It's just insanely selfish and pious. I know I'm not donating a lot, but I sincerely hope that this money will help give Brianna the funeral that she deserves. This was 2 hours ago, friends. This was 2 hours ago. No family should ever go through what Brianna's family is going through. Trans people deserve to be safe, to thrive, and live their lives in dignity. So many people who are just being wonderful, who are just here to support. There are good people out there. These are the people that we need to find and help. So please, everybody, if you can, go try your best to help if you have the means to do so. I'm gonna do it after this, and it's just so insanely sad. Another thing is, if you have the ability, go to your local, or go find ways within office to help. In America here, we have opportunities to vote on things like propositions and acts and stuff. We're kind of fucked a little bit right now, but I think if we get the right people in, it'll help trans people significantly. Aside from helping financially and helping governmentally, there's also one last thing I would like to leave this topic off with, And that is helping via being nice, being kind and courteous and generous to others. Um, Being there for the people who need it, who need it the most. I'm not going to lie, as a transgender woman, I've experienced a lot of bullying too. It happens, and it's unfortunate that it does. Um, but that's why we need this. The people who wish to help drive change, we need to help ourselves and each other to get to a better space by being kind and strong for each other. And we need to help others understand what is actually going on. You know, half of the time, I know for sure that my peers have no idea what's going on with trans people. And that's because of the media, that's because of their own parents probably not even knowing, or if they do know, spewing the wrong things, you know, i.e. Tucker Carlson, Matt Walsh, etc. And also just why, you know, if you put yourself into the space of that person, why would I go learn about this person if, you know, I respect them already and I don't know anything else. There's just an awful lot of people who don't know and who aren't aware of the current situation that plagues trans people. Don't be afraid to speak about it. Do not be afraid to comment and speak out for yourself. And also defend yourself and who you are. You know, if you're no matter who you are, you should fight for your rights. But on a more like personal talk with my fellow trans women, if somebody is constantly berating you and causing you pain, find help and defend yourself. You don't have to attack, but don't let that perpetually plague you. It's gonna happen, I know it is, but even though there are plenty of enemies in the world, you have friends. And you can find them too. I sure as heck know that for everybody on my Discord who wishes to talk to me, they can feel free to DM me at any point. If they're feeling attacked or things like that. And you want to know what the best part about this whole situation is that when you help somebody else, it makes that person feel more inclined to help another person. And then the whole cycle continues. They'll help another person, and they'll help another person, and they'll probably help another person, and it'll just keep going. The pattern will not stop. If anything, it'll just get stronger. And so, as just a final note to leave it off, you know, let's just walk back through what we've talked about. We must all pay respect to this poor 16-year-old girl whose life was taken in broad daylight, and her family as well in the grieving process. We need to find methods to help institutionally change our things, or change the prejudice that the institutional prejudice that plagues us. We need to also try and change the social prejudice that plagues us as well, and the perpetuated horrible view on trans people that so many people hold, unfortunately. And then we need to be kind to each other. We need to embrace our differences and come together as a cohesive society and be respectful and recognize people for who they are and who they wish to identify as, because no matter what, everything's on a spectrum, and everything's a beautiful chaos, and You want to know what? I really wouldn't have it any other way. It's just we need to bring it all together and be there for each other. And make sure that this doesn't happen again to the best of our ability. Now, I think, we've been doing this for 50 minutes. I tried to keep it short, but you can't really keep it short. It's far too pressing to do that. I hope that I've made sense. This is going to go up on the YouTube. I'm going to try my absolute best to keep it uncut. I might have to shorten it down into a 15-minute video just because of stupid YouTube video guidelines and stuff, but I hope it's alright. Thank you all for listening to me, and again, try your best to support. I would support the Jai family. It's still going. It's still going, and going really strong. Really, really strong. They are $104,000 above what they needed. $104,000. That's amazing, and that is the type of thing that we need right now, and also a warm and cozy hug. But yeah, thank you for listening. The stream's not ending yet. That's just the end of the first segment talking about Miss Jai. May she rest in peace and in power. And we thank her for being such a wonderful light.